Imagine opening up your phone to casually download a new game or a social media app, and your phone literally just refuses to let you do it unless you scan your physical driver's license to prove your age to the government. Like, that is exactly what is happening right now in the US, and it's sending massive shockwaves across the entire internet. Like, lawmakers are absolutely panicking right now, trying to restrict things like VPNs, anonymous networks, and app stores, acting like nobody is ever going to bother looking underneath the hood of their proposed laws. But the second they try to drop a massive ban or digital checkpoint, the entire internet just aggressively adapts, migrates, and builds replacements. Like, we're watching this insane cat and mouse game unfold in real time, where out-of-touch politicians are trying to break the fundamental math of the internet, and developers just casually press a few keys and render their multi-million-dollar censorship systems kinda useless. Like, just recently in July of this year, the US Supreme Court officially allowed the Texas App Store Accountability Act to stay in effect. And this means that app marketplaces are now legally forced to act like strict digital balances, verifying the age of every single person downloading apps. But in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how these unhinged government bans are actually backfiring so hard that they are single-handedly funding the golden age of privacy tools. So stick around, because wait until you hear how one massive democracy literally just tried to force messaging apps to spy on their users, and how the internet absolutely dismantled them for it. So to really understand the absolute comedy gold of this entire situation, you do have to look at the sheer panic happening with the Texas App Store thing right now. So lawmakers genuinely try to act like verifying the age of millions of people is just as easy as just checking a box on a screen. Like, Senate Bill 2420 literally requires app stores to figure out if you are a child, a younger teenager, an older teenager, or an adult, and forces them to get parental consent for minors before they can download anything. Like, the legal battle behind this was actually wild. Like, back in December of last year, a federal judge totally blocked the law, basically saying that it violates the First Amendment. Then a higher court stepped in, and the Supreme Court literally just declined to block it, forcing companies like Apple and Google to start scrambling. But developers and also privacy advocates immediately crashed out over it, pointing out that forcing tech companies to hoard a massive pile of highly sensitive ID data is just a complete and total privacy nightmare. Like, they warned that trying to restrict app access wouldn't magically stop tech-savvy kids. It would just force them to start using alternative app stores, decentralized clients, or as offshore VPNs to completely bypass the geographical blocks. Like, it is a massive upstream and downstream chase. And over in the UK, where they literally spent months posturing about how they were going to aggressively crack down on VPNs to enforce their own online safety laws, literally calling VPNs a quote-unquote loophole that needs closing. But a VPN isn't just a single company you can shut down. It's literally just like a basic tool. And when the government threatened to pretty much ban them, while actual cybersecurity experts literally had to sit these politicians down and explain that restricting VPNs wouldn't stop anyone. It would literally just force regular people to use sketchier, self-hosted offshore providers. Like, it was just such an embarrassing reality check that the UK minister literally had to completely backtrack and just publicly confirm that VPNs are officially off the scope for their bans. Like, it just goes to show how little these lawmakers actually understand about the technology that they are actively trying to regulate. And that right there is the massive glaring problem with every single government privacy ban that has ever been proposed. That they honestly don't realize that they are literally just giving these tools free advertising and directly funding their evolution. Like, every time a government drops a ban, it immediately triggers an absolute arms race that just escalates the technology to levels that we've literally never seen before. Like, let's say a state successfully blocks a major commercial VPN provider by targeting its specific network, for example, or cutting off its payment processors. The open source developers, they don't just give up, close their computers, and just go home. Like, they literally just adapt and build new, heavily decentralized workarounds. Like, if commercial VPNs get blocked, well, people just start spinning up their own cheap encrypted servers on cloud platforms for less than $1, completely bypassing the massive multi-million-dollar blockade. Or the developers just get even smarter and integrate advanced anti-censorship tech directly into widely used web protocols, so that a VPN connection literally just looks like normal, boring, like everyday web browsing. Like some VPN companies already do this. Like it just completely defeats the entire purpose of these bans. And when supposedly free democracies try to place like crazy legal restrictions on privacy tools, like demanding that providers aggressively log user data, well, the companies really just remove their physical servers from that country entirely rather than compromising their users. Like we actually saw this exact scenario happen in India back in 2022, I believe, where they tried to legally require VPN providers to retain customer records for 5 full years. And the biggest companies basically just said like, nah, we're good, and just pulled their massive infrastructure right out of the nation. So instead of just successfully controlling the flow of information, well, the government just kind of pushed the entire tech ecosystem further out of their legal reach, inadvertently creating a generation of incredibly resilient privacy software that is fundamentally like kind of getting harder to kill outright. But honestly, the absolute most entertaining part of this entire fiasco is just watching how incredibly desperate and legally questionable the government workarounds have become, when they inevitably just realize that they cannot just ban the raw math behind encryption. Like encryption is literally just very complicated math, and obviously you cannot just pass a law like legislating math out of existence. So instead of taking the L, well, they just start proposing these wildly invasive, totally unhinged ideas that sound straight out of like a dystopian like novel. Like my absolute favorite example of a complete like legislative crash out was when France proposed a law back in 2025 that would literally give the government the ability to straight up add a hidden like quote unquote ghost participant into any encrypted group chat, an idea that some lawmakers quietly tried to bring back again this year. Like just imagine being in a private group chat with like your boys, for example, talking about I don't know whatever, and then the government is literally just like silently sitting in the corner reading every single message. Like it's just very weird. But thankfully global cybersecurity experts, well, they kind of ripped into the proposal, just aggressively warning that forcing a backdoor like that will just completely destroy basic cybersecurity practices and distrust access across the entire internet. And the French government did have to scrap the idea before they just embarrassed themselves even more. Like a massive democracy tried to force messaging apps to spy on their own users, and the internet's own security experts will they absolutely like dismantle the plan before it could go anywhere. But they stubbornly just kept on trying these sneak attacks, like for example attempting to force companies to quietly scan everyone's private messages and photos by creating like golden key access for law enforcement. But the absolute hilarious thing about this is this, anytime they try to push these quote unquote golden key backwards, like privacy advocates, they just immediately point out that creating a master key for like the good guys just pretty much guarantees that hackers and bad actors will eventually find and exploit that exact same key. Like it is just a total bait and switch where lawmakers claim that they are actually protecting everyday people, but they are just actually like simply breaking the fundamental security of like the entire internet for absolutely everyone. At the end of the day, when you step back and look at the whole big picture, it is just completely baffling to watch lawmakers fumble so hard against basic internet culture that they genuinely act like nobody is going to notice when they try to aggressively mandate digital bouncers on our app stores, or when they wage an absolute unfiltered war on digital privacy under the guise of public safety. But the undeniable reality that the internet has literally always treated like censorship and restrictions more so as like damage, and just simply finds a way around it. Like every single time they try to block, for example, an anonymous network, a messaging app, or I don't know, an alternative client or something else, like they just force the developers of those things to just innovate faster, creating mirrors, decentralized replacements, and just brand new like workarounds that are exponentially more secure than the original app ever was. Like the governments are quite literally just paying the research and development costs for like these next generation of like privacy tools just by trying to ban them. Like if lawmakers genuinely cared about making the internet a safer place for everyone, like they would actually invest in like actual education and address the actual root causes of online issues instead of just trying to play an impossible like game of whack-a-mole with privacy tech. Like the harder they try to do this, like the more people aggressively like migrate to just other solutions. So yeah, that's for this video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you next time.